Revealed, this 70-year-old grandmother proves her worth after 30 years of feeling helpless. Evelyn, a cherished grandmother, sat quietly in her cozy little Ohio home, feeling the weight of loneliness pressing down on her like a heavy quilt. After 30 years of teaching, guiding young minds, she was now grappling with a stark reality. Every holiday season felt like a reminder that she was increasingly invisible, her children busy with their careers, their conversations sparse and hurried. As the winter winds howled outside, she felt like a forgotten candle flickering in a gathering storm. This year was different, though. Her heart raced as she prepared for the family gathering, hoping to fill the house with warmth and laughter. But as she set the table, the once familiar joy felt overshadowed by apprehension. Could she break through the walls of their fast-paced lives? She longed for connection, but every smile turned into a mask hiding unspoken tension. When the door swung open, the hugs felt forced, the hugs too brief. And when the dinner conversation began, misunderstandings erupted like fireworks gone wrong. Past grievances surfaced, years of commitment for a life that seemed to yield nothing but disappointment and a sense of worthlessness. "You never listened, Mom," one daughter exclaimed, eyes ablaze. "You always put us second," another spoke softly, echoing the sentiment that Evelyn's nurturing spirit was often taken for granted. The vibrant laughter she envisioned turned to whispers of hurt and frustration, weakening her heart and deepening her solitude. Before the waning night could drape its silence over the gathering, her phone buzzed with news that snapped her from the haze of disconnection. It was her dear friend, Sam, letting her know that the community center, the focal point of their neighborhood, was teetering on the edge of closing vital after-school programs due to a lack of funding. A flicker sparked within Evelyn. Perhaps she still had a purpose, something to stand up for, something that mattered. What if she rallied her neighbors to save the center? Could this be her chance to rise beyond her feelings of invisibility? The words formed in her heart. Driven by adrenaline, she attended a neighborhood meeting, her palms clammy yet determined. Standing up to share her vision, her voice wavered at first but soon swelled with conviction. She spoke of the dreams these programs could nurture, how they shaped young lives. The audience, at first hesitant, began to lean in, intrigued. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As excitement over her plan began to swell, she felt a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in ages. But a shadow loomed. The crushing dismissal from her children stung harder than she anticipated. "This is unrealistic, Mom," they said, their tone dismissive. "We appreciate your heart," but their words hit like a tidal wave, tossing her back into her sea of doubt and isolation. In that moment of struggle, Evelyn chose courage. Perhaps she wasn't helpless after all. Perhaps her worth ran deeper than she ever realized. Could organizing a fundraiser truly make a difference? Would it bridge the gap between her and her children, or would she just be left fighting for respect? The doubts lingered, but the will to act surged. As she took the first steps toward building her dream, the road ahead was uncertain, yet filled with a spark of hope. Her journey had only just begun. The days turned into weeks, and Evelyn poured herself into planning the fundraiser. Each evening, as the sun dipped low, casting a warm glow through her kitchen window, she sketched ideas on the back of old grocery lists. Bake sales, silent auctions, and community dinners danced in her mind, weaving a tapestry of hope that countered the sharp edges of doubt. But as her anticipation grew, her children's skepticism echoed louder. "Mom, what about your health?" they asked. "You shouldn't be overextending yourself." The concern masked in caring words stung, reminding her of the barriers that still stretched between them. They saw an elderly woman, frail and fragile. But what they failed to realize was that in Evelyn burned an ember of resilience, ignited anew. On a brisk Saturday morning, she ventured to the community center. The scent of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, and laughter trickled from the rooms where children's activities thrived, all at risk of being extinguished. She approached Sam, her steadfast ally, who was busy unpacking boxes of flyers. "Can we include that art class in the fundraiser?" Evelyn asked, her voice trembling with urgency. "Absolutely," Sam replied, a smile breaking across his face. "Art inspires kids. It's essential." They worked side by side, their laughter mingling with the energy surrounding them. As they brainstormed ideas, Evelyn realized that her fear of failure was dwarfed by the promise of what could emerge from her efforts. Within days, posters adorned every lamppost, and the local newspaper picked up the story of the fundraiser. Could she really rally the community? The thought sent her heart racing. Every visit she made, every flyer she handed out, felt like reclaiming a piece of herself that had long been cloaked in shadows. On a crisp Thursday morning, she spotted her children at the community center, looking hesitant yet intrigued. The realization hit her, they were trying to understand. For a moment, she held her breath, fear and hope twirling within her like autumn leaves in a gusty wind. The day of the fundraiser arrived, bright and bustling. Families gathered, laughter enveloping the air like the sweet scent of her famous apple pie. Evelyn straightened her back and stood tall, feeling an aching pride as she watched people come together for a cause greater than themselves. The warmth of their camaraderie melted away her reservations. She spoke with passion, recounting stories of children brightened by the center's programs. Faces lit up as they listened, nodding and murmuring in agreement. To her astonishment, her children stepped forward to join her on stage, the tension that once cracked their family facade beginning to smooth. "Mom has always been our rock," one of them said, voice trembling. "It's time we start supporting her." The room erupted in applause, innocence and vulnerability mixing in the air. Evelyn's heart swelled, heat rising in her cheeks as tears glistened in her eyes. She had wanted them to see her, but this was more than she ever dreamed. As the evening drew to a close, they counted the funds raised, but what mattered more was the connection spinning anew. Conversations flowed, laughter broke barriers, and hands joined in a chorus of support. Yet, just as the night settled into a beautiful calm, Evelyn overheard whispers of a threatening storm, financial woes suffocating the very community she fought to uplift. What new challenges awaited her? Would the success of one night be enough to secure a future for the center and nurture the relationships she desperately wanted to mend? Evelyn took a deep breath. This fight was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, she felt like a true part of her family, visible and valued. Still, she couldn't shake off the unsettling sense of uncertainty that lurked just beyond the horizon. Evelyn awoke the next morning with the sun streaming through her bedroom window, painting the walls in golden hues. She felt lighter, almost buoyant, after the fundraiser's success the night before. The weight of doubt she'd carried for so long seemed to lift, if only just a little. But as she swung her feet onto the floor, the challenges ahead loomed larger than ever. Her thoughts turned to the whispers she'd overheard. Financial woes clung to the community like shadows in the early dawn. Moments of joy could easily be washed away by the tide of problems just waiting to crash into their newfound camaraderie. Would her efforts alone be enough? With a resolve knotting in her stomach, she made her way to the kitchen. Fueling herself with coffee and toast, she shifted her focus to tangible actions. One step at a time, she whispered, as if the words could cast a spell of reassurance. After breakfast, she called Sam, her partner in the fundraising efforts. "We need a strategy meeting," she said, her voice steady. "If we're going to support this center, we'll need more than one successful night." Sam agreed to meet her at the community center later that day. As the morning turned to afternoon, anxiety shadowed her excitement. Evelyn returned to her notes, listing ideas for new fundraisers and community outreach plans. Bake sales were great, but they needed something bigger, something sustainable. When she met Sam, the energy in the small, sunlit room between them was palpable. "What if we hosted a community gala?" Sam suggested, his eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. "An event where people can donate not just money but services like cooking classes, art workshops, or even lawn care?" Evelyn felt a spark ignite within her. "That's brilliant. We can charge for tickets and turn it into a celebration rather than just another pleading for funds," she said, her heart racing at the thought of a lively affair that could not only rally their community but also lift spirits. They brainstormed relentlessly, weaving in ideas about local businesses providing sponsorship or donating items for silent auctions. The laughter they shared felt like a balm to Evelyn's worries, her passion intertwining with Sam's optimism, but as the plans took shape, the two faced obstacles. They needed to secure a venue, gather enough volunteers, and generate the initial funds for the event. In one moment of doubt, she caught Sam's eye. What if it's too much? She worried aloud. I'm still struggling with my own health, what if I can't handle it? He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Evelyn, this is about more than just you. You need to remember the reason behind this. We're building something that matters. As they spoke, Evelyn glimpsed echoes of the emotional connections that had flourished the night of the fundraiser. This was about community. This was about hope. Yet, something in the back of her mind tugged at her. Every time she felt a wave of confidence rise, doubt crashed right behind it. That evening, as she waved goodbye to Sam and turned back toward her car, her phone rang. It was her daughter, Jenna. Mom, can we meet? There's something I need to talk to you about. Evelyn's heart skipped. Would Jenna finally open up about her fears? Their relationship had taken a tenuous turn, and while hope flared within her, it was accompanied by a tight knot of anxiety. Of course, sweetheart. I'll be home in a bit, she replied, gripping the steering wheel a little tighter. With her future uncertain, Evelyn drove home, the weight of upcoming conversations settling heavy in her chest. If she wanted to mend the gaps between her and her children, she knew she had to fight for their understanding as fiercely as she fought for the community. The evening gloom seemed to echo her thoughts, and as she pulled into the driveway, she realized this was just the beginning. What truths would Jenna reveal? Would this be the turning point in their relationship, or would it shift the very foundation of everything she was working to build? Evelyn took a moment to gather herself, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Evelyn stepped inside the house, the familiar scent of lavender from the candles she's lit earlier wrapping around her like a warm embrace. However, the comfort faded as she remembered the conversation awaiting her with Jenna. She could hear faint scuffling sounds coming from the living room, likely her daughter gearing up for their talk. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn braced herself, hoping it wouldn't be another struggle. Hey, sweetheart. I'm home. She called, her voice ringing with forced cheerfulness. Jenna emerged from the living room, her expression a mixture of trepidation and determination. Hi, Mom. Jenna's voice faltered, and she brushed her hair back nervously. The tension in the air was as palpable as the warm light filling the room. Why don't we sit, honey? Evelyn suggested, her heart thrumming as she searched Jenna's face for a clue about what was coming. They settled on the cozy couch, the space between them filled with the weight of unspoken words. I've been thinking a lot, Jenna began, her eyes darting away. About everything. Evelyn nodded, her pulse quickening. She swallowed hard, ready to hear whatever storm brewed within her daughter. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to jump without knowing how deep the water was below. Since the fundraiser, I've realized. Jenna hesitated again, fidgeting with a bracelet around her wrist. I'm scared of failing, Mom. I'm scared that I won't live up to the expectations everyone has of me. Evelyn felt a rush of empathy collide with her own fears. I get it, darling. I worry about that, too, she confessed. But you know, sometimes we need to lean on each other. Jenna looked up, surprise coloring her features. What do you mean? I mean, look at what we're trying to do for the center. What if it fails? What if people don't show up? I've felt that heartbreak before, Evelyn admitted, her voice trembling. But then I realize it's the effort, the connection that matters. Sometimes it's more valuable than success. Do you think that's how it is for you, too? Jenna bit her lip, contemplating her mother's words. Maybe I just don't want to let anybody down, especially you. Evelyn felt her heart sink. Oh honey, you could never let me down. You are so much more than your achievements. You are brave. The sincerity in Evelyn's voice seemed to thaw Jenna's apprehension. You really believe that? I've spent so much of my life convinced that I wasn't enough, Evelyn said softly. But I'm learning, just like you, that courage is more than just succeeding. It's showing up every day. Jenna's eyes softened, and she reached out to grasp her mother's hand. I think I needed to hear that. I've been so lost in my own fears. As the tension began to ease, they shared a moment of clarity, a bridge forming over the gaps of misunderstanding. Tears glistened in Jenna's eyes. I want to support you, too, Mom. I want to help with the gala. Evelyn's heart swelled with gratitude and newfound strength. Really? We could use all the hands we can get. Just as they began to smile, a sudden sharp knock on the door shattered their moment. Both women exchanged bewildered glances. Who could it be at this hour? Curiosity and concern mingled in Evelyn's heart. Could it be someone with news, something that would change everything? What now? She whispered, her mind racing with possibilities. As Jenna rose to answer the door, Evelyn held her breath, bracing for whatever storm lay on the other side. Jenna approached the door cautiously, her brow furrowed. The knocking sounded urgent, almost frantic. Evelyn's heart raced. She wished she could calm her mind, but the unknowing gnawed at her. Mom, should I? Jenna asked, glancing back, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Just open it, sweetheart, Evelyn urged, forcing a smile to mask her own anxiety. We'll face it together. Jenna nodded and turned the doorknob. The door creaked open slowly, and the sudden chill of the evening air swept in, carrying with it an unsettling atmosphere. On the doorstep stood a tall figure, silhouetted against the porch light. Shadows played across their face, obscuring their features, but the anxious energy surrounding them sent a shiver down Evelyn's spine. Can I help you? Jenna asked, her voice steady yet hesitant. Is this Evelyn Moore's residence? The voice was rough, a stranger's tone laced with urgency. Yes. I'm Evelyn, she replied, moving closer to Jenna instinctively. The figure stepped forward, and the light illuminated a face etched with concern. It was a man, wearied by the harshness of life, yet his eyes sparkled with desperation. I'm sorry to intrude. My name is Mark. I found your flyer for the gala and I need to speak with you now, he said, his voice low but insistent. Evelyn tilted her head in curiosity. About what? It's about the center, the funds you're trying to raise. I believe I can help, Mark rushed, fumbling with his words as though they were spilling out against his will. Jenna looked at her mom, confusion blanketing her features. Mom, do we even know him? We don't, Evelyn admitted, her caution warring with her curiosity. But maybe we should hear him out. Mark took a deep breath, relief flickering in his eyes when he saw Evelyn's openness. I work with a nonprofit that specializes in funding community projects. We've faced our own struggles recently, but I can offer you resources, guidance. I just needed to meet you in person. I can't explain everything here. Evelyn's mind raced. This was everything they'd hoped for, but was it too good to be true? Excitement mingled with skepticism. Come in, she said, stepping aside to let him through the threshold. We have some coffee. As they settled into the living room, the air thickened with possibility. Jenna eyed Mark with both wariness and intrigue. How do you know about the gala? She asked, her voice breaking the silence. Mark looked at Jenna, his expression softening. I saw the flyer. I've driven past that community center many times. It's a place I hold dear, and I've always felt it could be so much more. More? Evelyn echoed, leaning forward, clenching her hands. More how? Mark's gaze strengthened as he spoke. With enough support, that center can transform lives. It can become a hub for education, creativity, and healing. But it needs people who believe in it and take action. That's what I'm here for. A spark ignited within Evelyn. This conversation, this unexpected turn, could indeed be the key they needed. It wasn't just about raising money, it was about creating a legacy. Just as excitement bubbled, a loud crash sounded from the kitchen. Evelyn's heart dropped. They both jolted upright. What was that? Jenna gasped. Before Evelyn could respond, they heard the unmistakable clatter of something heavy falling, followed by a frantic bark. Bella, their loyal golden retriever, had found her way into the cabinets. "Stay here," Evelyn commanded, a rush of instinct taking over. She stood and moved to the kitchen, fear and worry shooting through her veins. Jenna watched, eyes wide, and Mark stood swiftly behind them, wanting to help. But Evelyn was already sensing the shadows weaving through her thoughts. Why couldn't they just catch a break? Stepping into the kitchen, she froze. What awaited her next? Did the chaos only grow with this strange man proposing possibilities, or was this the beginning of something groundbreaking? The answer loomed just out of reach, waiting in the heavy silence. Evelyn stepped cautiously into the kitchen, her heart racing like a drum in her chest. The chaos from Bella, their exuberant golden retriever, had quieted, but the stray remnants of clatter and crackle filled the air like a bad omen. Clearing her throat, she called out, "Bella, what on earth are you doing?" The kitchen was a whirlwind of disarray. Pots and pans had tumbled from the lower cabinet, gleaming like scattered stars on the dim floor. In the corner, Bella sat with her tail wagging, a wooden spoon clenched in her mouth, a goofy grin plastered on her face as if her mischief had been an elaborate game. Evelyn couldn't help but chuckle, a small laugh escaping her lips. It was a bright spark in an otherwise heavy moment. "Really, Bella?" She sighed, shaking her head. "You're a mess." As she bent down to gather the scattered kitchenware, the evening's tension began to ebb slightly. The laughter faded, and she could feel Jenna and Mark's presence at her back, hesitant yet curious. "Is everything okay?" Mark asked softly, stepping closer, his concern evident. "Yes, just a little commotion." "Bella being Bella," Evelyn replied, covering her amusement with a wave of her hand while placing the spoon onto the counter far from Bella's reach. "That dog," Mark said, his eyes lighting up with a warmth that relaxed Evelyn's nerves further. "I love dogs. They always seem to lighten the mood, don't they?" "Most of the time," Jenna added, joining her mother on the floor, helping collect the cookware. "Though she has a knack for ruining our dinners." Mark laughed softly. "Maybe she just wants a seat at the table. Just like we do." Evelyn caught his eye, and their mutual understanding passed through the air. This was more than just about raising funds, this was about building relationships, about coming together as a community. "Speaking of gatherings," Evelyn said, rising to her feet and taking a deep breath as she stood. "Let us get back to what you were saying about the gala." "Right," Mark nodded, his demeanor shifting back into that urgent tone she had felt earlier. "The gala represents not just financial support, but a movement. It's a message to the community that we care, that we're all in this together." Jenna, still focused on Bella, asked, "And what could we do to make it even bigger? To get more people involved?" Evelyn felt a swell of pride looking at Jenna's earnestness. She had grown so much her daughter was no longer just a passive observer in this fight, she was ready to contribute. "Exactly," Mark replied, surveying them both. "We could host workshops leading up to the gala. Art classes, cooking demos, whatever gets the community excited. Make them feel ownership over the center. Like they matter?" Jenna suggested, glancing at her mother with a spark of hope. "Yes," Mark exclaimed, the enthusiasm in his voice palpable. "If they see the potential, they'll want to invest in it. Not just with money, but with their time, their talent." The energy in the room shifted as ideas started to flow. They began discussing themes, potential speakers for the event, who in the community could help spread the word. Evelyn could feel the warmth of possibility fragrant in the air, weaving through her thoughts. Suddenly, Evelyn's phone buzzed, breaking their momentum. She picked it up and glanced at the screen. Her heart sank. It was a message from her friend, Lisa, who volunteered at the center. "Evelyn, we need to talk. Right away. It's urgent." "What is it?" Jenna asked, noticing her mother's sudden stillness. Evelyn's mind raced. Was it about the gala? Or worse, something with the center that could undermine everything they were building? Mark watched her closely, sensing her anxiety. "What is going on?" he pressed gently. "I don't know," Evelyn admitted, the weight of uncertainty crashing down. "But I have to find out." With a surge of determination, she looked at Jenna and Mark. "We need to go to the center. Now." Jenna nodded, her expression shifting from worry to resolve. Mark's eyes glimmered with understanding. As they made their way outside, the air felt heavy with anticipation. What awaited them at the center? Would it be another hurdle or a chance to deepen their mission? Just as they stepped into the night, a figure emerged from the shadows across the street. Evelyn's heart dropped. Who was watching them? And what did they want? A chill swept through her, wrapping around her like a suffocating fog. Evelyn squinted against the dim light on the street, trying to make sense of the shape moving toward them. It felt like the hours dragged on in silence, the night's stillness swallowing up their breaths. The figure, a tall, thin silhouette, stepped into the soft glow of a nearby street lamp. Evelyn's heart raced as recognition washed over her. "Lisa," she called out, her voice rippling with a mix of relief and confusion. Lisa's face emerged, eyes wide, breaths short. "Evelyn, I'm so glad I found you." The urgency in her friend's voice sent a shiver down Evelyn's spine. "What is going on?" Mark stepped forward, his protective nature flaring up. "There's a problem at the center. It's about the new funding proposal," Lisa managed, her words tumbling out like loose change. "Someone is trying to sabotage it." Evelyn's heart sank. Sabotage? Why? Because of the changes we're trying to make. More equitable access, a focus on community-led initiatives. Lisa paused, biting her lip. Not everyone is happy with the direction we're heading. Jenna took a step closer to her mother, her eyes wide with concern. "What do you mean? Are you saying someone is actively working against us?" Lisa nodded emphatically. "I overheard a conversation at the last board meeting. There are people who want to stick to the old ways. They think we're wasting money on new programs instead of keeping the status quo." Evelyn felt a rush of emotions: fear, anger, determination. This was more than just a challenge. This was an all-out war for the future of the community center they were fighting to build. "Who is it?" Mark asked, clenching his fists. Lisa hesitated, glancing around, as if she feared someone might be eavesdropping. "I don't have names yet, but I think we can find out. If we look closely at the minutes from the meetings and talk to a few key people." She trailed off, considering the numerous possibilities. "What do we do?" Jenna asked, her youthful uncertainty stark against the gravity of the situation. Evelyn took her daughter's hands in hers, feeling both the warmth and the weight of their struggle. "We gather as much information as we can. We need to rally our supporters, make sure they know what's at stake." "But what if it's too late?" Jenna's voice trembled. "What if we lose everything we've done?" Evelyn felt the weight of her daughter's fears reflected back at her. "We won't lose. We can't lose. This is our community, and we'll fight for it together." Mark nodded, his conviction grounding them all. "We'll meet early tomorrow, start digging into this. I won't let anyone undermine our efforts. We need to be strategic." As they spoke, Evelyn noticed the clouds had begun to shift, allowing a sliver of moonlight to cut through, illuminating the road ahead. "Let us go home, regroup, and come back ready to face this," she urged, her voice steady, even as her heart raced. They turned to walk back, the night air thick with anticipation, but as they turned, Evelyn glanced over her shoulder, where shadows loomed heavier. Was it paranoia, or did she see someone watching from the edge of the trees? The feeling lingered, an uncomfortable amalgam of fear and hope. Who else in their community could be feeling torn at a moment like this? As they stepped inside, Evelyn felt the weight of the challenge ahead. What unseen forces were at play within their beloved center? And would their efforts truly be enough to save what they were trying to build? A chilling thought crossed her mind. What if this wasn't just a fight for a community center but a battle for her family's place in this town? Evelyn woke the next morning with a heaviness that clung to her. The sun streamed through the bedroom window, illuminating bits of dust dancing in the golden light, but the beauty of it barely registered. She felt a gnawing anxiety in her stomach as she replayed the events of the previous night. "Mom?" Jenna's voice broke through her thoughts. Evelyn turned to see her daughter peeking around the doorframe, her expression swirling with worry. Are we really going to work on that today? Evelyn forced a smile, knowing her daughter needed assurance. Of course we are, sweetheart. We've got a plan. After a hasty breakfast, they dressed in layers, the day unpredictable. Mark arrived early, a determined look etched onto his face. Are we ready? He asked, glancing at both of them, his eyebrows raised. Evelyn nodded as they piled into the car. The ride to the community center was filled with silent anticipation. As they parked, the building loomed larger than ever, its windows glinting like challenges waiting to be faced. They entered through the familiar doors, where the scents of old paper and wood mingled with the memory of laughter and chatter. Today, though, the air felt charged with tension. They spread out across the main room, scanning through meeting minutes and financial reports. Hours passed in a blur of reading and scribbling notes. Just as Evelyn began to feel the weight of their mission press down harder, Jenna burst into the room holding a piece of paper. I found something. Her voice vibrated with excitement, and that small spark ignited a flicker of hope in Evelyn's chest. What is it? Mark leaned closer. Jenna spread the paper on the table, her fingers tapping against the text. It's a proposal from one of the board members. It looks like they're planning to push through an alternative funding option that excludes our community initiatives. Evelyn's stomach dropped. They're trying to cut us out, she whispered, anger surging through her. It was one thing to resist change, it was another to actively work against them. We need to confront whoever is behind this. Mark exchanged a concerned look with Evelyn. But we have to be careful. Confrontation can escalate things. I know, Evelyn said, determination simmering in her voice. But if we stay quiet, they win. We have to protect what we're building here. Just as they began to strategize, an unexpected knock echoed through the room. All three of them froze, shared glances of trepidation. Who could that be? Mark asked, moving toward the door cautiously. When he opened it, a familiar face stood there, an elder from the community, Mr. Thompson. He looked worried, a deep furrow etched into his brow. Can I come in? I heard there was some trouble. Evelyn's heart raced. This was exactly what they needed, a respected voice in their corner. Of course, Mr. Thompson. We were just talking about the funding proposal. Let me guess, it's not good news, he sighed, stepping inside. As the room filled with the stories and experiences Mr. Thompson brought, hopes began to stir once more. He had a wealth of knowledge and connections, and together, they might just have what they needed to fight back. With their plans taking shape, Evelyn threw a glance at Jenna, who was now scribbling notes excitedly. This fight wasn't just for the community center, it was for a future that would belong to them all. But as the afternoon sun began to slip away, Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Someone was still out there, lurking in the shadows, orchestrating plans that could undermine everything they were fighting for. Could they outsmart their unseen enemy before it was too late? The stakes were getting higher, and Evelyn wasn't ready to lose everything she held dear. The chatter of Mr. Thompson, filled with anecdotes of past battles and victories, faded into a gentle hum in Evelyn's mind. His voice, rich with experience, steadied her racing heart. Every time he recounted how the community came together to save a beloved park or restore the old library, a flicker of courage sparked within her. This was the strength she needed, the kind that came from a community pulsing with life and resilience. Evelyn, Mr. Thompson said, breaking her reverie, you're not just fighting against this proposal. You're fighting for something bigger. People have to see that. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. You need to rally support. You need to show them that you won. Go quietly. Jenna, who had been scribbling diligently, looked up, her eyes shining. We could organize a meeting, she suggested, her enthusiasm contagious. Invite everyone who cares about the center. If they see how important this is, they might join our cause. Mark nodded, a fire igniting in his gaze. That's brilliant, Jenna. We can draft flyers, spread the word on social media. His voice trailed off, realizing the magnitude of what they were planning. Evelyn felt her heart swell. But we need to act fast. The sooner we get the community involved, the better chance we have to fight this proposal. As plans took shape, Evelyn felt the heaviness that had weighed her down since last night begin to lift. Each person they invited to support them wasn't just an ally, they were part of a tapestry that wove her community together. Together, they would stand strong. Jenna hurried off to start preparing, the rustling of paper and enthusiastic chatter filling the air. Mark leaned in closer to Evelyn. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, concern dancing in his eyes. "Yeah," she replied, though her voice cracked just a little. "This feels right. Like we're finally doing something." But deep down, doubt lingered. The feeling of being watched burrowed into her thoughts. What if their efforts only stirred the shadows? Evelyn shook her head, unwilling to let fear dictate her path. She had a daughter to protect and a community to uplift. It was worth the risk. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, and the playful chaos in the room quieted. "Evelyn, can I count on you to address the community during the meeting? Your passion is what will resonate with them." The request surprised her. Her throat tightened, a rush of self-doubt mixed with hope. "I'll do my best," she managed, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. Hours melted away as they prepared the announcement and crafted a vision for the meeting. Jenna designed colorful flyers packed with information, while Mark gathered supplies for banners. Yet, just as they seemed to be gaining momentum, Evelyn noticed a shadow edge closer to the main doors. The light shifted unkindly, revealing a familiar figure. Paul, the head of the board and a man she had always found intimidating, stood near the entrance, arms crossed. His eyes burned with skepticism as he surveyed the scene. "Evelyn," he called, his voice smooth yet laced with a threat, "I hope you're not planning anything foolish. The proposal is for the betterment of the community." An icy wave of dread washed over her. The gears in her mind whirred. Would he try to shut them down? She needed to act fast, or all could be lost. Evelyn straightened her back and stepped forward, heart pounding. "We have the community's best interest at heart. And we will be heard." Paul smirked, his confidence unsettling. "Then prepare for a fight." As he turned and walked away, a chill settled over Evelyn and her team. They were not just battling paper proposals, powerful forces were converging against them. How could they confront the looming storm that threatened their mission? Time was slipping away, and in the back of her mind, Evelyn felt an urgency brewing. What would their next move be? Would it be enough to safeguard their hopes? Evelyn inhaled deeply, tasting the mingled sense of coffee and determination in the air. She could feel the spark in her community, the gritty urgency igniting a fire within her. Today was a crucial day, the day when their voices would collide with an overwhelming desire for change. They had crafted their message, and now, it needed to soar. As the sun began its ascent, streaming warm rays into the community center, Evelyn gathered her courage, her heart hammering against her chest. Jenna stood beside her, fingers nodding anxiously. "Mom, what if they don't show up?" Jenna's voice trembled. "Then we'll make sure they do," Evelyn replied, placing a reassuring hand on her daughter's shoulder. "This is about more than just us. It's about everyone who believes in this center. It's about hope." Not long after, the room began to fill. The hum of chatter thrummed in the air, voices mingling into a chorus of anticipation. Neighbors, friends, and families began to claim their seats, and for each face she recognized, Evelyn felt the weight of their shared struggles pressing down, yet also lifting her spirit. When the last few guests trickled in, Evelyn took the stage, the crowd's buzzing energy fading into hushed whispers. She felt small but powerful, like a candle flickering defiantly against the dark. As she opened her mouth, her heart echoed, "You are all here because you love this community and the lives that thrive within it." Her voice gained strength, and the words flowed like a stream through summer fields. She spoke of the center's significance, of the children whose lives depended on guidance and connection, the very dreams they were risking to chase their own agendas. Faces shifted, nodding in agreement, the glimmers of belief sparking anew. "We can't let that happen. We won tea." Applause erupted, infectious energy filling the space. Evelyn looked around, and fearless tears pricked her eyes. As she scanned the sea of supportive faces, her gaze landed on Mark, who stood with pride, his smile beaming encouragement. And Jenna, her daughter, radiating hope, was writing everything down, eager to carry the fire of her mother's words forward. Together, we have the power to resist any proposals that threaten our community. Together, we'll build relationships, dreams, and a brighter future. With that, Evelyn stepped down, emotions swirling as people began to talk amongst themselves, empowered voices replacing the hollow echoes of doubt. Across the way, Mr. Thompson rallied the older generation. Parents were inspired by Jenna's youthful energy. Everyone was buzzing with passion, igniting a movement that was long overdue. Conversations transformed into strategies, and the atmosphere shifted to that of camaraderie, a collective force ready to stand unwavering against the tides. As Evelyn walked through the crowd, accepting pats on the back and words of gratitude, she couldn't help but feel lighter. The shadows of doubt started to disperse. This was the support she had yearned for, the connection she thought was lost, but just as the energy grew more profound, there he was, Paul, looming at the entrance, eyes cold and calculating. It would take more than a few heartfelt speeches to diminish his influence. Evelyn's chest tightened, turning her anticipation into steely resolve. Time to face the storm, she whispered to Jenna, her heart steadying despite the turbulence around them. In the days that followed, the community rallied like never before. Plans began materializing, vibrant energy radiating with every turn. Volunteers pledged to create events that brought everyone in. Workshops were announced, flyers circulated, and excitement hung thick in the air. Evelyn finally felt what she had always wished for, a place where not only her hopes flourished but also her sense of belonging. Then came the meeting, an all-important encounter with the board, where they would discuss Paul's unfavorable proposal. Under the hum of the fluorescent lights, tension hung like an electric charge. Evelyn stood, summoning her strength, as Mark and Jenna joined her. Together, they presented their case, not just with words but with the storm of passion bubbling within them. She outlined the community's response, the voices uniting for what was right. Paul interjected, his voice sharp, change is not easy. Some are simply resistant to it. But that's not the point, Jenna responded, her youthful conviction shining through. This isn't just about change, it's about opening doors and lifting spirits. This community has worth and dreams worth nurturing. Murmurs of agreement surged through the room, resonating louder than any argument Paul could conjure. As the meeting drew to a close, the board staggeringly voted against Paul's proposal, allowing Evelyn and the community to embrace the change they needed. Applause filled the room, and Evelyn felt the warmth wash over her. They had achieved something monumental together. Weeks later, as the sun set behind the community center, laughter danced through the air. The gala they once dreamed of was a resounding success. Food was shared, stories were exchanged, connections solidified everything Evelyn wanted. Even Paul attended, grudgingly accepting he could not fight against the march of hope. Evelyn stood back, watching the scene unfold. The walls that had once felt so isolating were now echoing with life. And there was Jenna, radiant and full of promise, connecting with children, eager to share her mother's vision. Tears of joy streamed down Evelyn's face as she realized that not only had she reclaimed her purpose, but she had forged a path forward for her family and community. I'm proud of you, she whispered to Jenna, who turned with a bright smile. You're not only my daughter, you're my ally. Evelyn took a deep breath, letting warmth envelop her. She had fought through loneliness and uncertainty to emerge with a strength she never knew she possessed. Today, she was more than a grandmother, she was a guardian of dreams, and beneath the twinkling lights, laughter rang true, a reminder that they were never alone. They belonged together. The shadows were gone, only love remained. So, if you've resonated with Evelyn's journey, this is the moment to support the channel more than ever. Subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive story that will inspire you even more. Leave a like now to keep those algorithms happy, comment your feelings and reactions to this uplifting ending. I want to hear from every one of you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It's their time for hope. Only true fans understand how crucial it is to rally together to spread messages like Evelyn's. Let us keep this wave of inspiration alive.